Hi, Liz. Hi, Aviva. I have to go and John didn't get the link, so I'm going to go do that and I'll be back.
Hello. I'm here.
Yay!
Okay, I was going to try to be as calm as Lisa when her class crashed, but I was like, I don't know if I could be as calm as Lisa. I don't think I can do that.
That's what
Hey, guys.
That's what happened because I was talking, then all of a sudden it was like bang. And I went,
It was a
I
different process for me this morning to get
and
on.
I went, what the hell? I mean, like, I got something to say.
Clearly, yes, you do. Okay, so we are again working with the process. I just recorded a class and the babies stayed asleep, and I'm going to share my screen. But I'd love, and hopefully that will all go fine. I'm going to set that up right now to make sure that's all set, and I will then start playing that. So bear with me for a moment, please. Okay, well, I'm waiting for the recording to come through because I literally just finished it. So what, oh, I see your note, Aviva. Okay, can you talk now, Aviva? Okay, I like to make some time to check in. So why don't we do that while the recording is popping up to my email? So the space is open for that.
I'll check in. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm unsettled. And part of that is I've been in denial in terms of anxiety, feelings, fear. And what I mean by denial, I recognize what they are, but the intensity of it, I think I've been in denial about. So it's grounding again, I guess. And yet, maybe I just need to be buried in the ground.
No.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Thank you, John. And I usually sometimes coach this and sometimes just do it, and I think we all at this point practice this, but taking a deep breath with the speaker is a very useful, energetic tool that works wonders.
I'm happy to share. Good afternoon, everyone. I just feel like life is really hard right now. So I'm just glad that I set aside this few minutes.
Thank you, Sarah.
I want to recognize just the safety I feel coming to this space, and as a space to honor an organic rate of release, as Karuna has used, for myself and for being in the community of that, where we share that also, that honoring. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
I came in a few minutes late. I'm so grateful to be online with you all from Washington State. So, yay. I remember you, Lisa, from when I was taking Karuna's classes. It was probably 4 years ago. So
Welcome, Aviva.
thank you. So nice to be here.
I'm really afraid. I'm just afraid of what will happen. So my anxiety level is really high. I went to the grocery store and got all stocked up because I'm afraid they're going to start shooting in the street or something. I don't know. So I'm really happy to be here with everybody. And my dog.
Nancy. All right, anyone else for now?
Oh, whoops. Wait a minute. Did I mute? No. Am I unmuted?
I
Yes.
can hear you perfectly, yeah.
I've been looking forward to this hour and really glad to be with everyone. I have my own versions of vulnerability and anxiety right now too. So glad to be here and to breathe with it. Thank you for that reminder, Karina.
All right. And Julia, welcome. I got your message as well. And please, absolutely, the theme of this class is taking care of yourself. So welcome. All right, I'm gonna share my screen here. So sorry. I'm close, put it that way. Do you guys see my practice screen frozen? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to start by letting you know about what gear we're going to use. So if you could get a large-ish towel, regular size towel would probably work for a roll. And it can be easier to do this on the floor, but for clarity, I'll hold it up. So if you fold over once and then twice, and then roll up. So those of you familiar, that's gonna look familiar. You can put that to the side. And otherwise, either blocks or something that can bolster the floor up to you. And I have a piece of clothing, so something that could bring your arms closer to each other. And either your blocks or a blanket or a bolster to sit on. I'm going to start with the bolster. So please find a way to sit. And you can either be cross-legged or in any position. And of course, laying down is also awesome. And you can either close your eyes or settle your gaze to one thing. And begin to slow down your breath. Begin to allow yourself to bring your awareness to you. And in particular, the parts of you that are your foundation. So your physical foundation, where you are connected to the ground, to the earth. And feeling into all of the other ways that you are supported. What other foundations can you feel for the support to ground into? Allowing your breath to help you to slow down, to feel for those supports. And that is our intent for our practice today, rooting down through your foundation. And we're going to start with our pranayama, which is Brahmari. So you can place your hands onto your head, either interlaced or one on top of the other, and just sense if there is a comforting quality to this. If it doesn't feel okay to your shoulders, it's fine. Just rest your arms, bringing your attention to your skull bones. And so we'll walk through some different energy centers. And the Brahmari is taking a deep inhale and using a humming, buzzing pitch on exhale to bring awareness and energy to an area. So often for the skull bone area, higher pitch can get up there. You can play with it. So we'll do 3 to each area. So relaxing skull bones, finding a steady, expansive inhale. Exhaling with Brahmari. 2 more at your own pace. And then coming down to the heart and lungs, placing one hand over the other or one hand to front of heart, one hand to back of heart, doing 3 breaths, buzzing up your heart and your lungs. And then bringing awareness to the pelvis, plugging your sit bones down into the support, feeling for also reaching the pubic bone down to your support. And if it's useful, you can bring the hands just above pubic bone, doing 3 buzzing breaths, buzzing up pelvis. Allowing the Brahmari to help you to find awareness of the weight of the pelvis. Giving your bones over to the earth, sensing the resonance of the Brahmari in your bones. Spreading through the toes. Next pose is seated side bend in knee pile. So a few options here. Knee pile. You can keep sitting up on a support. Stacking right leg under, left leg over. If this is too much for any reason, you can either straighten one leg or come to cross-legged. So once you're here, again, if it feels good, you can sit up on something. Find your sit bones, press them down, and then we'll come into taking the left hand out, bring the shoulder and the shoulder blade down, and then sweep the arm up. So you're gonna wrap the shoulder blade spinning. The pinky finger in can help you find that you're mobilizing the shoulder girdle, and then just playing around with finding your bones, finding steadiness and expansiveness in every pose. Checking out where you can separate the back teeth and let the jaw settle. Feeling for opening the back and the side ribs. Spreading your awareness through this extraordinary piece of architecture of the pelvis. Flip the palm, moving the arm into neck release. So you can either hover the hand. It can be really nice to use a block or even 2 blocks to rest that hand, sliding the shoulders down, playing around with looking down, looking around to unravel the neck so you can keep grounding. Using all of these micro movements, press into the ground with that hand and then soften. Cradling your head, put your head back up. And then switch across the legs, whichever version you did on the first side. You may notice difference in the hips as you go side to side, normal. And we'll take it to the other side. So finding your bones, letting the awareness of front hip point, back hip point, sit bones, pubic bone. Plant the hand, grab onto the ground a little bit, and then press the ground away to keep finding all of these micro movements. Wrap shoulder blade, and you can play with that. Can you actually feel some movement in the shoulder blade? It takes time to learn those moves, so if you're newer, give it time. Soften the front ribs in and down. And then play around with what is the most friendly place for your neck to look. Sometimes if the neck is super tight, looking down is really kind. Stretching through the active hand, the lifted hand, opening the carpal tunnel, and then feel for the transition. As you flip the palm down, you're internally rotating the upper arm, either keeping the hand hovering or placing it on a block. And then feel into where do you need to be to get into the lateral side of the back. Breathing in that steady way, grounding yourself. Continuing to guide your breath into the torso, feeling the relationship between pelvis and ribs. Cover your ear, give your head over to your hand, feel the contact, put your head back up. Pelvic tilts on hands and knees. So starting on hands and knees, and then come just a little bit wider than shoulders width distance. In every pose, grounding into your foundation, press the ground away. You can either let the head relax straight down. If that feels like too much weight in your head, you can lengthen the crown forward. You can play with those options. And then from here, lengthen back, press the tops of the feet into the floor. Inhale across the back ribs and the side ribs. And then exhale, lift the top rim of the sacrum towards the ceiling. Sit bones are going to move towards calves. And then inhale, come back through the neutral spine. Exhale, lift the top rim of the sacrum. Keeping the rest of the spine fairly quiet here. Exhale, lift the sacrum. A couple more rounds at your own pace. Okay, micro twisting quadrupeds. So from here, come back to your tabletop. Hands just a little bit wider than shoulders width distance. Lengthen back through the tops of the feet. And then from here, begin to twist the ribs ever so slightly to the right. And notice the hips. I notice my hips want to go with. I'm going to keep my hips back. Hovering the right hand off of the ground. And then lifting the left knee. So it's a slight twist to the right with the ribs. Pelvis stays as square as you can. And let that go. Using this to melt down tension in your core, bring awareness into the core. Press the ground away. If you have any kind of injury, practice in any fashion that makes it doable. So using blocks instead of pressing into the ground. And begin to twist the ribs ever so slightly to the left. Hover the hand. Keep the hips as square as you can. Hover the right knee. And we'll do that one more time on each side. Take a moment, deep breath. What did that do? Slightly twist ribs to the right. Hover the right hand. Lift the left shin. So it's not the half front that we often do. It's a smaller move. Hovering left knee off the ground, right ribs twisting slightly to the right. And switch. Press the ground away, twist the ribs slightly to the left, hover right shin. And come on back. From here, we're going to come back to a seat for one pose and then head on down to the back. So coming onto your blocks or back to your bolster. And we're going to come into some spinal twist repetition. So bringing the hands to the chest. Feel for breathing into the ribs, lifting the ribs, anchoring down through sit bones. And then from there, letting it be small without jutting the ribs, keep the ribs in and down. Notice if you're tensing the jaw, relax scapula as much as you can, and then letting this be fluid. Come back through center, feel for lifting ribs away from the top crest of the pelvis. And for today's purpose, keep the chin over the sternum so you can really focus in on releasing tension in the core, bringing awareness to the core. If you like, you could close your eyes. Feel for ASIS, that front hip point and pubic bone, back hip point and tailbone, breathing awareness into pelvis and rib relationship. Rooting down through your foundation, pressing sit bones and pubic bone down, lifting ribs away from pelvis. When you're ready, releasing the hands, coming back down. And then from here, coming down to the back, grabbing a hold of your roll. And then from here, bringing the knees over the hips, bringing the shins parallel to the floor, and then breathing in a way that gives you awareness of your ribs, particularly filling into back ribs and bottom ribs. Inhale across back ribs and bottom ribs, and then squeeze onto your prop. Roll the thighs in and tap down as far as you can go that you can keep your back ribs rooted. Come back up, knees over hips. And we'll keep going here with dipping frog. Stage one, grabbing the roll on exhale. Keep the front ribs softening in towards back ribs, heels tap down, hugging the belly muscles towards the spine. Doing about 3 more at your own pace. And then place the prop to the side, bringing feet together, knees wide. Bringing your active aware hands to the core and sensing what did that do. Help the legs back together. And then from here, we're going to come into psoas toner on the block. If you have core blocks, sometimes a bit of padding on them can be nice if your bones are sensitive. A bolster could definitely work for this. Bringing the pelvis onto your blocks or books or bolster. And begin to find a way where the pelvis is supported. Feet can be underneath the knees or a little bit forward. See what feels better in your hips for your setup. And give yourself some time to sense those bony landmarks. Start with front hip point. Finding this soft, wide breath as much as is possible. And then from here, hug the right knee into the chest. You can either hold behind the hamstring in front of the knee or use a strap-like object. So knee to chest on the right, left leg extends forward. So that is the focus of this pose. There's a lot happening, but the toning of the psoas on the left side, you're giving a break to a lot of the flexion that we're often doing with our hip flexors. If it feels hard to get your heel to the ground, you could prop it on an object or push it into the wall. Check out your gaze and the quality of your jaw. Soften, let the energy come back to active feet. Shoulders away from the ears here. And we'll switch sides. Come back through feet flat for a moment. Inhale, knee to chest on the left. Extending out through the right leg. Move the thigh bone away from the hip. Make space in the hip joint. And then begin to let yourself sparkle up into sleepy areas with your breath, connecting to your bones, particularly these bony landmarks of the pelvis and the structures that support you. And then from there, releasing, taking a couple breaths here. And then from there, lifting hips up, removing your props, however you can do so. Lowering down and rolling onto one side, coming back up to your tabletop. From here, we're going to come into downward facing dog. So from tabletop, hands come forward, hands at distance, press the ground away. Curl toes under in that same fashion that we worked with last week. Imagine the frontal hip point, back, 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 to help you find the low abs as much as you can. If you like, you could play with a wider stance to keep finding the bony landmarks in the pelvis, piking hips up and back, pressing into your foundation. When you're ready, left leg is coming forward into lunge. So you can either step straight forward or step outside the left hand if that's kinder for your body. I'm on a rug, so I have quite a bit of padding, but getting extra padding is always a good idea. And then from here, give yourself some time. Press into both feet. See what that psoas toner did for your hip here. And then when you are ready, we're going to come into half archer here. So taking your left thumb pointed down, left leg is forward, taking the back of the hand to a place that works. So you can use the back of the hand to guide breath into the back ribs. Reach the other arm up, wrap the shoulder blade. And then from there, frontal hip point back, and then feel for the lifting of the pubic bone, the lifting of the ribs without jutting the ribs out. Seeing if slightly looking up, lifting all of your skull bones. Feels good, or else looking forward, also good. And then release your half archer, brain cradling. Interlace your hands, coming right into the base of the skull bones, and then accentuating the cue that we just worked with, lifting your skull bones away from the top of the spine. Wrap the elbow tips towards each other. Keep finding that soft expansion around back ribs and side ribs. Knit the front ribs in and down. And then from there, back the hips up. So you're making two 90-degree angles. We're going to come into twisting lunge. So plant the hands together. And then just notice that that left hip wants to wing out and play with keeping the hips as stable as possible, lifting ribs. Coming forward, a couple of options here. Either, just like in our previous twist, going slow, prioritizing, feeling over what it looks like. You could place the elbow outside the thigh, but if that causes you to jut yourself into something funky, you could make it smaller, plant the right hand down, and either keep the hand on the pelvis to stabilize or reach the arm up. And then find out, can you find a little bit more extension in the spine without jutting the ribs out? From there, take the hand down. I'm going to come into lowering down through the plank, and you can decide knees up or knees down, finding the stabilization of the core as you lower. Shoulders away from ears, elbows come next to ribs. Come into crocodile, hands stack. You can place your head down or turn your head to one side. I'm going to keep my head up so I can be recorded. Reach back through your legs and then press into the tops of both feet. Lift the left leg, reach the leg back and roll the inner thigh to the ceiling. Reach the opposite leg back, lift the leg, internally rotate the thigh and lengthen the leg back. Keep all of that. And then from there, breathe into the pubic bone. Lift the pubic bone towards the bottom ribs. Keep reaching through the legs really strongly. Press into your foundation. And then from here, just lifting the chest, hover the hands off the ground, keep the pubic bone lifting towards the low ribs, lengthen the ribs forward and up. And then lower down, come into your crocodile. This time, if it works for your body, place your forearms down and your hands flat. And then ground into your foundation with your hands, your forearms, your feet. Press the ground away so you're getting feedback from the earth, giving energy to the earth, getting some energy back. And then from here, let's come into working with bending the right knee. And just coming right there, feel the quads on the ground, see some movement here. You could stay right here and keep working on a hamstring strengthener, glute strengthener, or you could reach to the top of the foot and give yourself time in your half bow or prelude to half bow. Press foot into hand and hand into foot. Keep a strong reach through the extended leg. Keep curling pubic bone, getting information about the front of the core, relaxing tension in the core here, and then release. Keep that length through the extended leg, bending into the left knee. Reach the heel towards the ceiling, activate the foot. Maybe you stay right here. Maybe you reach for the foot. Whatever you choose, being with this focus of grounding into your foundation in every single pose. When you're ready, release your pose. Give yourself a moment, feel front hip points, pubic bones, sit bones. Hands under shoulders coming through table, and then imagining that action of hips back, hips back, hips back as you press the ground away with hands and feet coming into your down dog. And then from there, right leg is coming forward into lunge. Grab your blocks. And then again, just giving yourself time to feel. There's so much diagnostic material in a lunge, and often we whip through them. Slow it down. Find out front hip point and back hip point even. Press into your foundation. Soften front ribs down. Right thumb down. Bring the hand to where you can use the back of your hand to nurture the back of your own heart. Ground into the support of your own hand. Sweep the left arm up. Wrap the left shoulder blade. Press the ground away with both feet. Lift the pubic bone. So you have the pubic bone in line with the front hip point. That's a good diagnostic to see if the pubic bone is forward of the front hip point, you're over tucking, so you can bring it back and then find out how do you keep the pubic bone and front hip point ASIS on one plate. Relax skull bones. Fill through the lower chakras as you're breathing into your foundation. Find the steadiness available. And then release. Coming into the opposite side of your clasped hands. Wrap around base of skull bones. Elbows tweeze towards each other. Lift your skull bones off of the top of your spine. Feel for the information that comes as you stay with yourself. And then from there, bring the hips back, bring the torso up. Coming into twisting lunge, so make 2 90-degree angles. Find those landmarks. Pubic bone and hip point aligned. Front hip point and back hip point aligned. Engaging the action of the low glute. And then just notice if the right hip wants to wing out to the side, tuck it under. Using this pressing together, grounding into the support of left and right side to each other to wake up the muscles of the torso, lift up, coming forward. Option either elbow outside the thigh, keep that left hip, I notice for me when I go right along with it, keep that left hip back. And make it smaller if you start to lose moving from integrity and you start to move into momentum. Come back, slow it down, make it smaller. Press the ground away with everything that's making contact with your foundation. See if you can move the right shoulder blade towards the ceiling to open the back of heart if your arm is up. Keep checking in with the hip points. Lower the lifted arm. We're heading back to some more therapeutic boat poses, lowering all the way down. Do that same assist, lengthen back, roll the inner thigh to the ceiling. This time, clasp hands. If that works, you can also use a prop. Facing the palms towards the ground if you're using a prop, it's a great way to work this. This time, lifting legs, lifting shoulders, lifting chest. Back of the neck stays long. Shoulders away from the ears. Pubic bone curling towards low ribs. And come on down, take a moment. Come right back into your down dog, taking that awareness of front hip point, back, 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 deepening the hip hinge. Let's come into warrior one with back toes curled under. So again, either stepping straight forward or outside the left hand, bend into the back knee. And then come on up. Check out your alignment here. And then from here, bring your hands interlace behind the head. Elbows stay wide this time. Press back of head into hands. Let some resistance build and then let that go. Coming back into brain cradling, elbows tweeze towards each other, come up and come back. Press the ground away. Track the left hip back and down. From there, bring the torso up and then come forward. Come to a straight leg. Grab your blocks. And then from here, find your airplane wings. Hug around the thigh. Peel the torso away from the thigh, and you're going to get some resistance there. And then let that go. Straighten the front leg and fold into your pyramid variation. Roll the right inner thigh back, track that left hip back. And then from there, we'll come through another boat pose, boat lift, shoulder shrugs, lowering all the way down. High quality transition elbow dip. Reach back through the legs, lifting legs, hover the hands. Inhale, broaden up the back. Exhale, squeeze shoulders, shoulder blades, elbow tips. Inhale, broaden upper back. Exhale, squeeze shoulders, shoulder blades, elbow tips. Inhale, broaden upper back. Exhale, squeeze shoulders, shoulder blades, elbow tips. And release. Option to windshield wiper the legs here. Kneeling for all of the architecture of your foundation, pelvis and legs, lower core. Press back into down dog. Right leg comes forward. Taking yourself into warrior one and back toes curled under. Hip points, front hip points and pubic bone in one plane. Front hip point and back hip point even. And this time elbows wide. Switch up the interlace, hands behind the head. Press the head into the hands and vice versa. Broaden and lift the ribs. Pull the elbows away from each other. Breathe into shoulders, back apart, front apart. And then wrap elbow tips forward, coming into any amount of a back bend. Feel for releasing tension from the core. Bring torso out, straighten that left leg, grab something to bring the floor up to you. Kick through that like hugging muscle to bone, letting that reach back, pressing into your foundation. Find your wings. Give your leg a hug. Hug the front ribs towards the back ribs. Come away from the thigh, and the bind is waking you up. Woo. And from there, straighten the leg, fold. Pyramid variation. Roll the left inner thigh back, track right hip back and under. And then from there, gently hop up to the top of the mat. Hips back, hips back, hips back. Come on up. Grab your roll. Standing back bend. Getting a hold of your roll with your inner thighs. Parallel the outer edges of your feet to the long edge of the mat. And then finding if that hip is jutting forward, bring the hip back over the ankle. And then using the glutes to reach down. Find the base of the big toe rooting. And letting the priority be feeling for grounding into your foundation. Hips stay back. If they start to push forward, keep finding that action of hips back. Sit bones reach towards calves. Giving yourself 5 high quality breaths here. Elbows tweeze towards each other, letting the organic rate of the back bend be the priority. If your hips came all the way forward, like I just saw mine, just be patient with yourself. And then shake it out. Interlace the hands. You can keep the roll or not. And just coming into some really gentle twisting here. Letting the priority be feeling for using this twist to ground into your core and release, ground into your foundation and release tension from your core. And then take a cleansing, clearing, grounding, stabilizing breath. Couple of breaths. Coming into your Shavasana, taking any movements that are supportive. Feel for letting yourself be held by the earth. And then patiently begin to open your awareness to where else are you held. Letting yourself uptake that goodness. Taking yourself onto one side as you're ready. Coming up to a seat with a relaxed neck. Letting the weight of the pelvis root down. Feeling for the rib cage stacking on top of pelvis. Skull bones stacking on top of ribs. Bringing hands to touch. Down to each other to seal our time. Feeling that basic goodness and respect that every human deserves. Thank you.
Bye all.
Thank you all. Be safe.
Hey,
Thank
Karuna.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Yeah, see you next week. Thank you for rolling with our process.
It's a great
Bye.
process.
It was a great class. Are we going to see the babies?
Can you tell everyone hello? Say thank you for coming. Say thank you. She's signing thank you.
Beautiful.
Bye, everyone.
They're as good as a yoga class.
Oh my gosh. They definitely get that, the good vibes going, or the awake vibes.
Bye.
Yeah, all of it.
You're
You
beautiful.
gonna have lunch? You gonna have some lunchies? I think daylight savings time was in our favor. I'm trying to get them to one nap, and so far so good today. So we'll see how it goes.
Are they good eaters, Karuna?
Oh my gosh. It looks like Thanksgiving at every meal, and it's like a rock concert, like, it's not over no more. And I'm like, luckily when I was living with my mom, she was like, you guys were all like that at some point, you just have to cut them off. So I am so happy because they had challenging eating early on, so it's great.
You love to eat. Yeah, that feels good.
Yeah.
How old are your babies?
They're 17 months.
Wow.
Yeah. How did it go, Julie?
Good, thanks.
Good. Nice to see you. Yeah, I've been recording the class, and then they tend to wake up during the actual noon time. So this is until I find childcare, we just moved back in state. We're just working with the upside down world.
I'm never going to get over the miracle of those two babies.
That makes many of us.
And
Right.
each other, Karuna.
What's that?
We love each
Sorry, two people were talking to me. I didn't hear you. Oh, I bet they've been so patient. All right, I'll see you guys later. I better run.
Bye. Thank you.
other. Bye.